Good evening. Good evening. How you doing? This is Coach Karvell Bailey, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Life and Basketball. And on this show is where we talk about how both life as well as basketball are synergistic and they have so many things in common. And what we do on this show is we get basketball coaches, we get basketball players, as well as those individuals that have been influential in the game of basketball. And we allow them to share their story of how a little orange ball helped change their life and oftentimes save their life. And not only that, but they now use some of those same principles that help them, and now they teach it in whatever field that they're in, be it still playing and or coaching. And so the show is being brought to you by Bless the Ball Skill Development Academy, where we help parents of unrecruited or under-recruited student athletes save money on college by helping them find the right scholarship for them. The show is also being brought to you by my first book, Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball. The show was birthed from this book. The show was birthed from this book, Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball. This is the way that I was taught the game. This is the way that I coach the game. This is the way that I live my life. And each and every individual that I bring onto the show, they exemplify this. In one way or another, they exemplify this in their own way. And so I will share the links to how you can get the book and our book bundle a little bit later in the show. But tonight, I am pleased and proud to bring on somebody that I've been knowing for a long time, but not only just knowing, I've been really, really studying as well as learning from. This individual tonight is a veteran, a college coaching veteran, a basketball coaching veteran of many, many decades. And, you know, he literally has the secret sauce. Like he literally has the secret sauce because he does it the right way. And if you ever get a chance to be able to sit down and talk to him, like we're going to do tonight, you'll find out that if you do have a student athlete of college level age and experience, then you would definitely want for your son to be able to play for this individual. I like to call him a coach's coach, a people person, someone with a wide array of knowledge, but his basketball mind often goes unnoticed, but it's impeccable. And so I am pleased to bring to the show tonight somebody, again, that I not only call a coaching colleague, but somebody that I love and appreciate each and every time that we get to sit down and just communicate and talk to each other, because I learn each and every time. So I want to present to some and introduce to others my buddy, Governor State University's head coach, Coach Tony Bates. Coach, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm fantastic, Coach Bailey. How you doing this evening?
Man, I am doing amazing. I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you for, taking time, with us to be, on the show. First and foremost, let me ask you, how are you doing, during this time, you and, the family, like, how are you doing? How are you, hanging out? You know what I mean? How are you doing during this time?
Well, we're doing what we need to in this environment. We're still recruiting. We're still talking to athletes about their class situation and making sure they're doing some individual work at home. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Um, so we're moving right along in this environment. I know it's tough for all of us, but we have to be able to adjust sometimes, just like you do in the basketball floor. Life is about adjustment. So
Mm.
we're in adjustment mode now.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Life is about adjustments, same way that we do on the basketball court. Coach, for those that don't know, for those people that may not know, who is Tony Bates the man? Can you like explain? Because we'll get into who Tony Bates, the coach, is, but can you explain who is Tony Bates, the man?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Question again.
No, I was asking you, who is Tony Bates, the man? We'll get into who Tony Bates, the coach, is, but if you could just explain to the listeners here, on this
Tony
show,
Bates,
we
the
talk
man.
to,
All right. Well,
yeah.
Tony.
So go ahead, coach.
Well, Tony Bates, the man, is someone that's passionate about what he does every day. I grew up on the northwest side of Chicago. Went to Trinity High School, able to play a basketball. Went on to Trinity Christian College, where I played 2 years before I was fortunate enough to go overseas and play in London, England.
Mm.
So all has taken me to a lot of things. Bottom line for me has always been the experience. My parents have always taught me that it's okay to play the game, don't let the game play you. So I was able to obtain my degree after I was coming back off season, and I started actually basketball during my off season when I was 19 years old at a little tiny school called Tabernacle Christian on the school. So I've been blessed twice, man. I've been blessed to start opportunity of athletics high school level. Well, actually, Tabernacle went from kindergarten to 12th grade. It's a
Mm.
private school on the south side of Chicago, and then I was able to. I've been there. I was there for 15 years. I was assistant associate head Xavier for 12 years. And I was blessed again with the opportunity to start Athletic State. So I'm the athletic director, and I'm also a men's basketball coach at Governor State University.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and we're gonna touch on a lot of those things tonight, Coach. But I guess starting out, um, you know, you were raised on, the northwest side, Bucktown. Can you talk about how growing up in Bucktown and in that area on the northwest side, can you just talk about how that developed and molded you into the Tony Bates that we now see? Because obviously that was the foundation. So can you talk about how, growing up on the northwest side really, really built the foundation to what we now see today?
Absolutely, absolutely, Coach Bailey. Um, when I grew up on in Bucktown, again, it was a very tough neighborhood back then. It was pretty gang infested, the whole 9 yards. But you know, I surrounded myself with people with the same mindset that I had, and that was to play sports, stay out of trouble, and go to school. Now, unlike today's times, back then, the gang bangers and the guys that was, selling drugs understood that we were just little kids trying to play ball to go to school. So they never really messed with us, in order to try to join or anything else like that. They appreciated that our plight was different. So I realized at a very young age that it's not where you're at, it's where your mind is at. So
Mm.
if your mind is in the right place, it doesn't matter where your body's at. If it's somewhere else you need to go, you can get there by, being steadfast and serious about what you're trying to do, and then go from there. My parents still stay there. My father invested quite a few properties back then at about $15,000 a piece. He still lives there, so you kind of know where that story ends. He's doing pretty good for himself. So
Absolutely.
tough environment, but again, it's not where you're at; it's where you're going. And I've always lived by that.
Man, Coach, you definitely come out the gate swinging, man, and dropping bombs, and I love it. And we, had these type of conversations all the time. But I want to slow down for a minute because I don't want people to miss what you said. I mean, obviously, we live in, and some, different times now with, the youth. But you said that the first thing that you had to do was surround yourself with people with the same mindset. And I think that no matter what your mindset is, it's an old quote that a business coach of mine told me. He said, if you can't change your friends, change your friends. Meaning that if you can't help them become better, it's time that you find another group. And you understood that growing up at an early age, that you had to surround yourself with people that thought like you, because on the second half of that I don't want people to miss, you said it's not where you at, it's where your mind was at. So even though you got the gangs, you got the violence, you got all type of other things, but if you saw yourself in a whole different position, a whole different environment, well, now you had to surround yourself with those individuals that thought like you. And I don't want parents or athletes to miss out on that statement, because obviously, again, that's the foundation to who you are and where you are this evening. So I want to ask you this question, Coach. Do you think that the youth has totally changed, or do you think that the adults have changed?
I think, Coach, that's a great question, and I think it's a little combination of both. I think that back when I grew up and played basketball, the park was full.
Mm,
You played sun up to sundown. It wasn't many. It wasn't a lot of AAU and all those things going in the summertime. So we got our group of friends and went out and played, and it was enjoyable. Now I was
hmm
never worried about us getting in trouble because they knew we were out there doing something positive. Parents never worried about what level you're going to be playing ball at. It was about what kind of grades do you have, and oh, by the way, you're playing basketball tonight. That's nice, but if the grades weren't right, I wasn't allowed to play. I had to have all B's coming into the house before my parents allowed me to play for high school teams and other teams I went to. So I think the combination has really changed. I don't blame today's youth because they have different experiences that we had. We didn't have video games.
hmm
So, you go outside and make your own games up. So,
hmm
growing up in today's time, we shouldn't fault them for that,
Yeah,
but it's just different for them. But from a parent standpoint, I think we have to get back into the mode of let's be parents. Let's make sure that education and direction is more important than how well they play sports. And I think sometimes they get misconstrued.
I love that. Make sure that the direction is more important than the sport. Um, yeah, that's huge, Coach. Now, you said that what your parents wanted was all B's. And I think that that's reasonable. At times, some parents can jump out the water and say, you got to bring all A's. You got some parents that don't care. But I think for all student athletes, when you're talking about B's, I think that's very attainable, as well as it's very um it really allows you to put yourself in a situation in which you're marketable too. You know what I mean? Because if you got all B's, that says something about the consistency that you have as a student, or as a student athlete, as opposed to being pounded. Tony, you got to bring me all A's, and now at some point in time the frustration mounts. Instead of even getting A's and B's, those grades, drop and decline because it's too much pressure. Um, so can you allude to that for a minute? We're gonna get into that on the back end. But do you think that it's a different type of pressure on student athletes today?
I do. I think it is a different type of pressure on student athletes, but I think the commitment to education has to be important when it comes to direction. Because listen, I thought I was pretty good. I was second team All State. I was the fifth leading scorer in the country. Uh, I don't even know if I can dribble a ball today, but I developed my mind so that I knew that at one point I wasn't going to be able to play basketball anymore. So then what are you going to do? What are
Absolutely.
you going to do when the game goes away? And when the game goes away, if you got those fundamentals and that drive to be successful, you will. You know, basketball is just basic rules. If you played on my basketball team, here's the three things that I always ask all my players. I've coached over 700 players, coach, in 30 years. All right. First thing is show up on time. And showing up on time don't mean if we start practicing at 3 o'clock, you come in at 2:59, or you
Mm.
show up 15 minutes early. Be a team player. All right. We don't need one-on-ones. We need guys that want to play with other guys to be successful. And the third thing, give me all you got. That has nothing to do with basketball. Those are
Mm-mm.
life skills. You
Mm-hmm.
show up at your career on time, you be a team player, and you give them all you got, you're going to be successful at whatever you do. Now, when I say I've coached over 700 players, I have. Now, I would say five of my players were fortunate enough to play in the league overseas, but I also have hundreds of others that are also professionals.
Yeah.
They're lawyers, they're
Yeah.
engineers, they're garbage truck drivers,
Yeah.
making 34, 37, $38 an hour.
Yeah.
See, we have to get out of success is being on TV dribbling the basketball.
Absolutely.
Success is being able to take care of your family,
Mm.
right? Have your kids as go on vacation. Your kids have something to eat. They're in a great environment. You're just successful as a guy on TV. Now,
Absolutely.
his house might be a little bit bigger, but you got a house for your family as well. So we got to get out of the mindset that it's all or nothing.
Mm.
Either I make the league or I'm nothing. Because I have a whole bunch of professionals and they never got one check playing basketball.
I love that, coach. And I say all the time, I had Coach Rob Smith on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about that. And, for as many professional basketball players as he has more professionals in their own field of study. And, when we say the word professional and put that with a basketball coach, most people look at, okay, like, you mean plan to earn money? So it's, what did the basketball help provide you with so that you can make money and or be successful on or off the court? So, I love that. And now, my next question, coach, is you went to Holy Trinity. I know you probably felt the way, once it they, shut it down and everything. But, we talk about the Catholic League, a lot on this show, because, and, this show goes nationwide, and probably worldwide at this point. But my first question with that is, how did now going to, a Catholic school as prestigious as Holy Trinity, um, how was that transition with you? Can you talk about that? Going in, whether the culture shock, did it build up your discipline, your character? Just talk to us about the transition of now going to Holy Trinity.
Yes, that's a great question, Coach. Um, Holy Trinity at the time I was there, it was an all boys school.
Mm,
So when you first go there, you're kind of like you're looking around. Of course, there's all boys there, but you find out a lot of things real quick. First of all, you weren't trying to compete, so there was no girls you're trying to holler at, and you got to act like you all those different things.
yeah.
You seem to have a different focus level because it was all guys.
Mm,
Um, so I think it helped me as far as able to study and able to get more focused because there was none of the other things going on around you. You
mm,
went to lunch, you played basketball, and all those other things. Now after
mm,
school, there was a school called Holy Family right across the street, which is all girls. So
mm,
after school, you go across the street and see what you can talk about. But during those, from time you went to school to the time you got out, it was totally focused because there wasn't a distractions. Because who you trying to impress? So it wasn't what's the name said something to me, I didn't like it. Everybody ooh and ah. It was none of those different things. We're all guys in there trying to make our way and trying to make our families happy because we understood that our parents could have sent us to a public school. So they made a sacrifice to pay for us to go to a private school. So let's make the most out of it as we can.
mm. Yeah, I love that word, coach. You say sacrifice. So, again, even at a young age, and it seems like that was the culture, that you guys understood that, this money being invested, into us to be able to get a better education than probably the public school. So we have to, really, really appreciate the sacrifice that people are making, and I think that appreciation comes right along with sacrifice, and people don't always put those two together. um if you're making a sacrifice, you're not only making it for you, but it's also benefiting someone else. So on the flip side, somebody has to be aware and be appreciative for that. The same way as coaches, if we're sacrificing time with our family, or from other things that we could be doing, early morning practices, late night practices, late night film study, whatever it may be, because as coaches, and I always talk about this, we spend more time with other people's kids than we often do ours. So if we're making that sacrifice, we just want the appreciation to be felt on the other side. I mean, would you agree with that, Coach?
I totally would agree with that. I totally agree with that. And understand that you're blessed with the opportunity to have parents that can afford to send you to a private education. A lot of parents, unfortunately, they can't afford to. So it's almost, see, Coach. Again, I'm old school, man. So to me, the person who has an opportunity and does nothing with it is different from the person who never have opportunity at all, right? Because if I never had opportunity at all, then I had nothing to lose. But you were granted or blessed with an opportunity with it. That's sad to me because that could have went to someone else. So I approach my players the same way. I challenge my players. I let my players know that restrictions and here's what we want to, and either you fall within those things or we're not the place for you because we want total success from you on and off the floor.
Yeah, I love that, Coach. I love that. We got one of your former high school players, Jamel McLaurin, on right now. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, we got people chiming in now. So you leave Holy Trinity, and now you go to Trinity Christian. Um, and you and I talk about this all the time, Coach. And I love to talk to college coaches about it, as well as high school coaches. That transition, the transition between high school and college, not only from an athletic standpoint, but from a maturity standpoint, an academic standpoint. So, can you talk now? How was that transition for you as an athlete, going from Holy Trinity to now Trinity Christian, on a different level? How was that transition for you?
Well, you don't understand the difference in the speed, the difference in the strength, because you get to a point where you're 18 years old, you're playing some guys 22, 23 years old who are in college. So it's a different physicality, it's a
Hmm.
different mindset, and you're not the most athletic anymore. So you have to start thinking the game a little bit more in order to be successful. And I think that's the same level, the same thing I had to do when I was able to go overseas and play in London. Another step of the skill set, and a lot of it from the mental capacity. Because when everyone's good, it's always tough. Now, I felt I was second team all state in high school. I was going to go Division 1. Well, the one didn't happen for me. So the coach at Trinity Christian, which is the NAI school, stayed on me. I didn't shortchange him. I was humbled by him for me to go over there and play. And I went there with the mindset of I'm going to get a degree. At whatever level you play at, go there with the right mindset. Because if you don't call, that doesn't mean of a player, and doesn't mean you're gonna get less of a degree. Because you have to still go out there and make that transition and do what it needs for you to be possible for you to be successful. And I think I was able to do that. And I enjoyed my time playing NAI. And here's my question, coach, that I ask all the recruits when I go in the living rooms and talk to the moms and dads. And it's coach, I'm gonna ask you the question. Okay. Walter Payton, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman thing in common. Do you know what that is?
NAI, baby.
They all play NAI
NAI.
basketball,
Yep.
basketball, for Washington State? Absolutely. Great answer.
Yep.
So again, what does that tell you? If you're good enough and you're in the right opportunity, you can be successful. It doesn't matter what school you go to, especially in today's age. Okay, with all the internet and again at Governor State, our games are televised live all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, actually all over the world. So, if you're good enough, we have recruits and scouts and GMs that watch our game. They give you opportunity to go over there and play, and then you get the opportunity. So, a lot of parents can't get stuck on where you're going, but what you're going to do with the opportunity when you get there. And I think
Mm.
that's going to be the key to be successful.
Not where you going, but what you gonna do with the opportunity once you get there. Those are strong words, coach. And for the people that think, I'm looking down, I'm taking notes. I would definitely advise you to as well, because again, this is a personal as well as a professional development show. I mean, this is just that. This is not, your average people say podcast, whatever. We are here to educate you, and educate you through other people's stories. Now you call it, coach. Don't shortchange coaches. We call it uh, big time in coaches. And so for I think that statement that flew over, the parents' head. Now let's talk. I'm talking to the parents right here, as well as the coaches, and we're gonna get into that, a little bit later. But what Coach Bates means by don't shortchange the coach, or what I'm saying, don't try to big time the coach. Coach said that he wanted to go Division 1. Every young basketball player has two goals. They want to go to the NBA and they want to go Division 1. And most people think that they can't get to the NBA unless they go Division 1. So that's kind of where the correlation of that comes in, just from history. But coach said that this NAI coach was on him, was recruiting him, was caring about him as a person, as well as a basketball player. So it was the right fit. What happens is so many athletes see a lower level school, so they think, and I'm saying lower level, and they don't think that it's good enough. Coach, know what I do, working with, the unrecruited or the under recruited, students or the parents to help their students. I was talking to a kid the other day, and he was like, and I talk to kids from all over the country, but this guy was in Chicago, and he was like, well, I would like to go D1. And I'm like, well, it's April. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't talked to him by now, you probably not. And I said, have you talked to any coach? He said, yeah, 2 junior colleges, but I don't even know the school anymore. That's what coach is talking about, right? Don't shortchange, don't big time. You had 2 people that was interested in you, but now because you're waiting on that golden goose, now you've when it's time to go back to that bridge, you burnt it, so to speak. Or a coach like Coach Bates or myself, by the time your student athlete goes back to that school, we probably don't want you no more, because now you're settling on us, and no coach wants to feel like they're being settled on. So I just want to point that out. What coach was saying, like, he didn't shortchange that coach, even though it was on an NAI level. But coach, can you speak to? And I know that you're real passionate about this. And as Coach Keith Holmes said, NAI is strong. You played there, you got coached there. You are NAIA. But can you talk about, regardless of what level, finding the right fit for you? Like, can you talk, to the parents, the athletes, the coaches, just about the importance of, it's not necessarily where you go, but finding the right fit? Because it sounds like you found the right fit for Tony Bates.
I did. I was fortunate and blessed enough to be able to get with a coach that really did stay on me and really wanted me to come there and get my degree and just be successful. So I think that's more important than anything. A lot of times you know, go where you feel good. Go where you
Mm.
feel that you can achieve. First of all, here's one they call me. Don't call me and as soon as we pick up the phone, coach, I got this guy for you. He's 6'5", he got a 40-inch vertical, he has arms to his knees. Don't I hang up the phone. Call me and say, coach, I have a student athlete
Mm.
with a 3.4 grade point average
Mm.
that wants to major in business and happens to play basketball. Give me that conversation because when you're sold as just a ball player,
Yes.
that's so easy to replace. But
Yeah.
when you start educational side of it and go from there, then I feel like that's what it should be from the beginning anyway. Because I can always find somebody 6'5" that can dunk a basketball. I need to find someone who has the right mindset. I'm going to come to your school, and here's what I want from you, Coach. I want the opportunity to get a degree. And in
Yeah.
4 years, I'm going to win you some games, and we're going to have some fun. But when I walk across that stage, and your mom is sitting next to me, and your dad next to me, and a tear comes to my eye, that's the biggest championship ever. To
Yeah.
watch these young people that look
Yeah.
like you, that grew up in the area you grew up with, get that paper, because
Yeah.
then I know what life has for them. See,
Yeah.
all go to the arena, right? You got to have a ticket to get in. No matter how much you like Prince or Denzel or Michael, if you don't get the ticket, you can't get in. When you look like me and you, and you don't have that degree, you can't get
Oh.
into the arena. So you
Oh.
have to be able to use that to get inside the arena. Now, once I'm in the arena, I'm ready to go. See, here's what now when I bring a recruit on campus, and I don't care, it's 30 guys in the gym. You know what I'll say? I'll say, who can you beat up in here? You look around, coach, I can beat all of them. You never even seen them play. But that's the confidence level.
Yep.
But I got my next question for him, coach. How many of them are you smarter than? When his
Mm.
shoulders start slumping a little bit, I say, yeah, now we're getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 years, son, if you decide to come play basketball at Governor State, I'm gonna have your confidence level when you go out in that job force the same way you have on the basketball floor. You're
Mm.
gonna walk into that job, you're gonna shake that supervisor's hand, and you're gonna say, "You time all day, I'm the guy." You're gonna go get that small business loan and start your own business. You're gonna be the corporate exec. You're gonna work for that Fortune 500 company. Here is what we have to start breeding: that we can't be evaluated or predicated on a ball. We have to
Right.
be predicated and evaluated on our minds because that's what we're going to always have. But we are so into if we're not entertaining, we're
Yep.
nothing.
Yep.
That's so far from the truth. So
And
far from the truth.
and
And that's what I strive on.
to your point, that we are so inundated with entertaining, and so therefore, if we're not getting the attention, now you see people drift off to go the food route so that they can entertain, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like we find a way to be entertaining rather than, to be able to sit down and have an intellectual conversation. That's as entertaining as anything to the right person. So I wanted to ask that question. The reason I asked even about the transition, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because now sophomore year was when you really had the breakout. Top 5 in the nation in scoring, and everything. So it seems like that you hit your stride and then became comfortable with not only the athletics but also your academics, because, and you can speak to it. You can almost tell when an athlete is not performing well in the classroom, because subconsciously they don't perform well on the court, especially with those ones that care about playing, because they know that their time is limited because of their struggles in the classroom. So can you talk about how the classroom correlates how your thinking in class or your participation in class correlates to your thinking or participation on the court.
Yeah, I think that's very important that we understand. It's back to a mindset, right? You ask any basketball player, again, who you better than, never even seen some guys, and they'll right away from a yeah, I'm better than him.
Yeah.
I took that same approach into the classroom.
Yeah.
All right. Who's the smartest one in this room? I want to be able to compete. You're going to get an A, I'm going to get an A as well. See, I think even as a basketball player, right? If you're limited to one thing, if you could just shoot, you can't dribble, you can't get rebounds, you don't play defense, that's okay team. But a more well-rounded basketball player is more marketable to a college coach and everyone else. Well, life is the same way, right? So if I'm classroom, I'm able to entertain that as far as getting the best grades I possibly can, staying out of trouble, and then having the ability to also play basketball. That's a well-rounded individual. I have recruited and given scholarships to student athletes that were not the best basketball players. Right? They might have averaged 12 points. I was going at a guy who was averaging 25, but he had a 1.9 grade point average. The guy that was averaging 12 points had a 3.2 grade point average. I gave a scholarship to the guy with 3.2 because two things I knew. First thing I knew, he was in the classroom. And second thing I knew, he was going to be a team player because he was a team player on the team that he was on. So a lot of these coaches want to make these kids think that a 2.0 is sufficient. It's not.
Right.
You got to have a 2.75 to get in Governor State. So I don't care how great you are. I can't get you through the door with a 2.0. But high school rules say as long as you have a 2.0, you're eligible to play high school sports. I think that's horrible. What you're setting kids up for is a one pipeline. And I'm not knocking junior colleges, right? Because anywhere our kids go that need to go to be successful, I'm cool with that. But with a 2.0 grade point average, there's very few 4-year schools that you can attend because you can't get in with your grades. And I think that combination is very important. So have that same fire in the classroom that you have on the basketball floor. Because if you do, I'm not saying you're going to be the smartest one in class, but at least compete. Sit in the front row. Sit in the front too. Ask questions. Don't you ask questions in practice? So ask questions when you're in that classroom. And again, I've never seen, coach, and maybe I've only been doing this 30 years. I've never had one of my starting 5 basketball players say, you know what, coach, you haven't played such and such in 4 games. I'm deciding that I don't want to play today. Let Johnny play. Yep. I've never heard that, coach. So that should be the same mindset when you come to the classroom. Sit in the front. Know that the professor knows who you are because it's already going to be the stereotype. Once they find out you're a basketball player, they always think or perceive that all basketball players want to do is play basketball. No, I want to learn something in your class. I want to be able to compete in your classroom as well as on the basketball floor. And I think once you have that mindset, you're going to be very successful. It takes a lot of mathematical skills, coach, to be a basketball player. You have to know the degree of difficulty for this shot. You have to know with one more dribble, I'm going to draw this defender and I'm going to be able to throw this lob for this dunk. That's all mathematics. That's all mathematics. And it's all chemistry. Okay? So you can't be dumb and be a good basketball player. I've never seen that. You cannot apply yourself to the classroom, but just on the basketball floor. But it takes, plus in our sport, unlike football, you're playing both offense and defense. You are offense, defense, and special teams.
Correct.
Right? So depending on where the ball's at, it's a different mindset. So I've never seen a great basketball player that couldn't think. I've seen a lot of them that were lazy enough to feel that because I can play basketball, I'm not going to do that. And that's where we fall by the wayside.
And man, I hope y'all taking notes, right? I hope you taking notes, and I hope that you are not selfish and you're sharing this broadcast with other parents student athletes and coaches that need to hear this. So don't be selfish, right? Like people say sharing is caring, but if you were missing out on this, wouldn't you want somebody to share it with you, right? And so like share this information, and I hope that you're taking notes. I got so many points that I want to cover, and I'm gonna work backwards. When coach say special, right? As basketball players, not like football, um, you have to play offense, defense, and special teams. People say, well, what's special teams? Well, you got offense, you got defense, and in basketball, there's a thing called transition. That's just like special teams. So you have to know what to do in all of those areas. And I've never, man, I'm a not only use that quote, but I'm gonna write a whole email about this tomorrow, man. I've never heard that it takes a lot of math skills to be a basketball player. And the way you broke it down is, like your mind, coach, your basketball mind is impeccable. And the title of this show, and I always frame the title with, based on the individual that's coming on to the show on whatever particular episode. So this episode is titled "The Secret Sauce to Success: Living Out Your Principles." And I think that exemplifies Coach Tony Bates, right? The principles that he has as a man, as a God-fearing man, right? That's really the secret sauce to success, because if anything, coach, you're authentic, and I think when, that's a whole nother story. People try to be like other people, I'm be like other coaches, whatever, but your authenticity has allowed you to be successful as a basketball coach in so many ways. But I also want to talk about, I used to always tell my players, well, I didn't really, well, yeah, I told them, because I let my players know, like, this ain't my teams were never democracy, right? I always let my team know this is a dictatorship, and so like I ain't gonna hold no punches. This is not a democracy. Yeah, you get to choose certain things, and I will include you in it. But if I say something, right, it's like a dictatorship. But so like you're gonna sit in the first two rows. You're gonna ask questions because again, I'm giving them the unfair advantage because, as you said, and a lot of people don't talk about it, coach, and we don't really want to talk about it. There are a lot of teachers, there are a lot of professors that can't stand athletes, and not just basketball players, but they can't stand them because they, one, feel as though they get treated differently and they get like special treatment. And then there are, a lot of teachers or educators that just feel like they can't do nothing else but play sports. And as a gym teacher, and I'm saying that on purpose because we got Coach V on, Coach Volius, that's on staff with you, and he's one of my basketball mentors. But he'll cuss you out if you say a gym teacher, because as you say, no, I'm a physical education teacher. I'm an education teacher also, but I teach the physical education, not just gym teacher. But we're giving them the secret sauce, the unfair advantage to how you can at least get a C easy if you sit in the first two rows, if you're attentive, if you ask questions. But what you said, coach, was it takes a 2.75 to get in Governor State. And as you said, people that like, if you have a 2.0, and in some schools, if you fill out like ISPs, some, like CPS schools have a thing called ISP. Well, if you're under a 2.0, you just basically got to sign a paper saying that you're going to tutoring, so now you're putting them at a further advantage. And what I didn't know, I was talking to a guy that said the difference between having a 3.0 to a 3.4 and a 3.5 to a 4.0, the amount of schools that can offer you a scholarship changes by like 65% or more. And I was like, whoa, like so I'm thinking 3.0, right? You still good, right? Going back to that B average, what you were saying. But the higher the grade point average is, the more opportunities you're allowing yourself to get. So we have some student athletes or some coaches that tell kids and okay, well, yeah, you're good enough to go to the school, right? You're good enough to go Division 1, but you got a 2.2. So realistically, the only people that can offer you is a junior college. So, I mean, that's a great point, because I think that so many people miss that. And like, okay, well, especially now, well, the test scores I waive, but the school still has to admit you. So if there were no ACT scores, no SAT scores, what you saying at Governor State University, if you don't have a 2.75, there's no need in you even talking to them, because there's nothing that you can do.
No, there isn't, and there isn't, and it's a couple things. First of all, at most 4-year schools, what we don't want to do is set up a kid up for failure, right? So you let a kid in with a 2.0 or less, and you're in academic classes with individuals that have 2.7 or above. Well, you're already behind the 8 ball. Yeah. So now you're frustrated because you're not grasping the information that needs to be grasped, and you feel like you're less than. It's no different, coach, from the freshman in high school, right? That's on the end of the bench on the varsity team. You're just not ready yet. And it's not that you won't get there, but you're not there yet.
Yeah.
So when you go into a college atmosphere and you're already behind academically, it's a struggle for you. So as opposed to going to the struggle, you're just not allowed to enter an institution until you go to a junior college and make your way, and then put yourself in a situation where you show you can achieve in a classroom, and come to the 4-year school after that. The other thing that I want the audience to know about is, if you do decide to go to a junior college, please go to a junior college that you feel comfortable at. Please go to a junior college that cares about you. What do I mean by care? If your coaches or advisors are requesting that you take 0900 classes,
talk about it, coach.
Classes, those are preparatory classes for college. So if you get 5 A's, but you took how to open up a locker and how to open up the car door, those don't go to the 4-year school. Now, here's what's sad. Here's what gets me. The coach can still play you with those classes.
Yep.
Now, who's beating who? The coach is using your skill set to win basketball games, to make more money, and he's not thinking enough about you to give you classes that you can take to the next school. That's crazy to me. Now, let me back up now. If I struggled in English and I took the placement test and it shows that I had a deficient English, there's nothing wrong with taking the class to get me ready for college. I'm saying there's a whole bunch of student athletes that all 5 or 6 of their classes are 099. So when your kids go register for junior college, if the class does not have a 100 in front of it, it's not a college level class. Sophomore year, it should have a 2 on them. When you get to Governor State or the 4-year schools you want to go to, they're going to have 3 and 4, which means the level: freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. I think that's important because, again, here's the other misconception. I can get you to D1, don't go play a Coach Baselor NAI school, and I'm giving you, right, how to open up the locker and how to open up the refrigerator door without letting too much air get out. Those classes ain't going to help you go to the Division 1 school. Those classes are going to keep you out of his school, or you're going to wind up being frustrated with school and stop going all together. But you're going to win basketball games for him.
Coach, I had a kid that, and I'm not going to say where the kid came from or, none of that, but I had a kid that transferred to me. His college level, his junior college eligibility was over, but he transferred to me at Truman. 6'9", coach, jump out the gym, freak of nature. I look at his transcripts. He got golf. He got wrestling. I'm like, dude, you 6'9". Why are you taking wrestling? He like, that's what they told me to take. And so as parents and student athletes, you have to do your homework. And doing your homework is, understanding one, the things that Coach Bates is talking about with knowing, okay, and yeah, you may not be a good test taker. You may, and even if you don't do well on the test, the placement test, some people will then look at your grades consistently in those classes. So you have to, goes back to what we always talk about on this show. You have to be able to ask the right questions, and you can't be afraid to ask those questions. As Coach said, if you don't ask questions in class or about you as a person, you're probably not going to ask questions on the court, like, I don't understand why I'm going through this screen, or I don't understand this. You have to get complete clarity. So, I want for people to understand, coaches, parents, and athletes, what Coach Bates is saying. Don't allow, and it goes back to what he said, that, it's okay to play the game. Don't let the game play you. Like that's crucial. So Coach, before we get into because I want to now get into, you done with college, you go overseas, and I'm pretty sure that was a whole different experience. And I don't want to skip over it too much, but then you come back home and now you're coaching. But before I get into that, I want to ask this question. So Coach V wanted to know, want me to ask you about the word freedom.
I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was saying that Coach V, he's on as well, but he wanted me to ask you about the word freedom. So I'm gonna just sit back and let you explain it to me.
Well, Coach B, for all that are listening and watching, Coach B is my assistant coach at Governor State. I've been knowing the man for 30 years, love him to death. He's a straight shooter, and I always have a spiel when it comes to freedom. I always ask it's a word that everybody thinks that they want, but it's not for everyone, right? And what do I mean by that? Okay, so when Johnny's at home, Johnny knows you tell him to be in at 7 o'clock. He's home at 7 o'clock. He does his homework. He takes his shower. He goes to bed. You get him up in the morning. He's ready to go to the next day. All right. You have a controlled environment when Johnny's with you. When Johnny steps on that college campus and mom and dad drive away and they wave, now there's that word that you've been think you wanted, but you might not be ready for. It's freedom, right? You get there on a Wednesday, that first fraternity party is that Friday night. You're up in it. That class is Monday morning. You ain't got to go to that class. Professor's not going to look for you. They're not going to call your mother. A matter of fact, legally they can't. All right.
Yeah.
But come January, when you haven't been to class and you went to all the parties you can go to and all the basketball games you can go to, and your F's, that F don't represent freedom. It represents failure. And now you're back at your mama's house in January worrying about why you failed because you weren't ready for that word that we all think we want, but it ain't for everybody. And it's called freedom.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I love that, Coach. I love that. And you know what? You go to that party, and then you got that class on Monday, and guess what? It's at 8 in the morning too.
Oh yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning. Freedom, man. That's tough. Coach, man, thank you for having me ask that question, Coach V. I appreciate it. So, Coach, now now you get into the coaching game. And you're at Tabernacle Christian Academy.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your time there? Because you all average, you won like 5 straight conference championships, but you average 25 wins a season there, and you ain't even have a gym. So, like, can you talk about just your time at Tabernacle Christian and like how that time was, and how it helped even develop you as a coach.
Absolutely can. First of all, Jamel McLaurin, who called, called in or sent me
Yeah.
an email, he played for me at Tabernacle Christian Academy.
Okay.
I started coaching there when I was 19 years old. I was still a
Mm.
sophomore at Trinity Christian, and during the off season, I would come home. I would still have opportunity to coach the team. We didn't have a gym. We practiced at a church gym down the street that the student athletes had to get to, but just the hunger. We didn't have an athletic budget. The kids actually had to pay their own way. We had to pay $5 or $6 a piece to rent the bus for us to
Wow.
go to games.
Wow.
So when you have that, coach, you have a different fire. So
Yeah.
those young people at Tabernacle Christian were hungry for sports. And when I first got there, it was just about being able to play. Because it was a Christian school, education was very important there, which is what I definitely enjoyed about it. But just to watch them develop and they bought in, and we said, you know what? Every night, wherever we played, that was our gym that night. And we took on that mindset that
Yep.
your house is going to be my house tonight.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you, I love those kids because they were hungry. You pay for your own gym shoes. I had to fundraise for uniforms every year, but they were successful. You know why they were successful? Because they had the mindset to be.
Mm.
See, coach, it's never about me. It never has been. It's
Mm-hmm.
about my players. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have the mindset and the drive to say, yep, I don't have nothing, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to take what you have, then you have a different desire for things.
Mm.
My first practice at St. Xavier after Tabernacle Christian closed, we're getting ready to have a shooting drill. All right. So I had about 20 balls out there, and I had different players at different stations. I said, let's have a shooting drill. Well, one of the kids stopped me and said, Coach, don't blow the whistle yet. I said, well, what's wrong? He says, Coach, two of these balls are Spaldings and the other one is a Rawlings. I said, everybody sit y'all butts down. Let me tell you a story about my guys. We didn't even have basketballs.
Right.
We had to use the other team's basketball when he got there. And I guess one of the funniest things, Coach, we going to a tournament. Um, I believe it was at Luther East, and the coach embarrassingly walked to me and said, "Hey, coach, did you get the call that you guys are supposed to wear your white uniform? You guys have on your blue uniform." I said, "Oh, coach, it's no problem. Hey, everybody, turn your jerseys over because we had the reversibles." Now, other people would be embarrassed by that. We didn't care. We wanted to play basketball, but we beat them by 25. So
Ooh.
it didn't matter.
It
But
didn't
we
matter.
loved those kids. Didn't matter because their mindset was right. And again, grades were checked every week at Tabernacle
Mm.
because Pastor Booker, who was the founder and owner of the school, didn't play that. Rita Funcho, who was the principal, didn't play that because they understood the perspective of you guys like this. Here's what you're gonna have to do to keep it. And I
Mm.
just that impelled me to want to continue to coach and want to continue to grow. And I have that same mindset now. No, we're not the biggest school. No, we don't have all the fanfare. But if you play for me, you're gonna learn one thing. You're gonna learn MT. It's called mental toughness. And
Mm.
anybody who ever played for me, I've said that 1,000 times. Because when you have mental toughness, coach, there's nothing in this world you can't do. When you don't have it and you have excuses, there's a lot of things that you're going to be sidetracked for, and it's not going to be your fault. It's going to be the next man's fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jamel McLaurin's on that team, and I had quite a few very good back. I think he only lost maybe 5 or 6 games his whole career. So
Mm-hmm.
he went on to go to college, and now he's taking care of his family, and he's just as successful as any other professional athlete that I've coached.
Mm. Yeah, no, and Jamel just said that that you made them dogs, but it kind of goes back to, and we didn't even know that the conversation was going to go here, but it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Just on the other side of sacrifice has to be appreciation. So if you all are sacrificing now, they appreciate it, the reversibles, because at least they got two. They got two colors. Could have been just one. So now when you appreciate things, and especially when a sacrifice is being made, it means more to you. Now you put more into it because you had to work for it, because it is, as the old saying go, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But those people that are, really, really hungry and understand, those are the people that, make it, to where you guys, went at that time. And as, Jamel said, that you took them downstate and, y'all only had 50 kids in the whole school, and I think that, that speaks to not only your basketball knowledge but your understanding of people. I always talk about how so many people think that we're in the coaching business, but we're really in the people business. Like we, have to understand people in order to be able to get them to be the best players possible. So after you leave there, coach, you go to, Saint Xavier, and this is where our paths cross. But before that, I want to ask you this question. And as I told you prior to us coming on and doing my research and studying, I didn't know that you had your own insurance agency, and my dad, sold, insurance and, was a financial planner for like my first 18, 19 years, from NBA players, NFL players, but just everyday people. And he was great at it. And I had another coach on, one of my earlier shows from Minneapolis, and he framed it in a whole different way. He said he wasn't a salesperson, he was a problem solver. And I was talking to you before we went on. I said it makes so much sense listening to you, learning from you, kind of knowing the person that you are. And now when I hear that you had your own insurance agency and what insurance agents are supposed to do for people, can you talk, and that's really been a problem solver, but can you really talk about how being in that industry, the sales industry, because I mean, we're always selling ourselves all the time. When you go into a parent's house, you have to sell them. We have to sell our athletes to, do certain things. Athletes have to sell us. We have to, sell our children to, basically convince them, so we're always in the selling business, attempting to convince people of what is right or not right. But can you talk about how that experience helped you as a coach and just help you deal with people?
Yeah, absolutely. When I did own an insurance agency. I still have it now. I don't really engage in it as much. I also deal with a little real estate. So dealing with people, you have to learn how to listen, right? Some people hear, but they don't listen, and there's a
Mm,
difference between the two. So once it's not about me selling you something, it's about me listening to see what your needs are and to see if I have the product that can satisfy your needs. And
mm,
there's no different from that than me going in the living room talking to mom and dad about your opportunity to come to Governor State. See, I always want what's best for everyone because to me, the best contracts ever, coach, is the one where we both benefit. So I might be dumb and I might not be the smartest coach in America, but I've always told young people, you decide to come to Governor State, you want to go to Michigan State, okay? You sign a letter of intent to come play for me at Governor State. It's a done deal. Michigan State calls the next week. I tear up our letter of intent and I congratulate you for going to play ball at Michigan State. It's
mm-hmm,
never about me. It's about our kids. It's about finding out what their needs are and being able to adjust to them. Now, sad to say that probably 70% of the student athletes that I've coached over 30 years come from families with just mom. So
yeah.
a lot of people understand you become dad, you become the disciplinarian, you become the person that they come to with different issues that they can't talk to mom about. So I welcome that.
Mm,
I welcome that because I said to myself, here's what Coach Bates is not going to do. Coach Bates is never going to put himself in a position to embarrass the people that possibly look up to him.
mm-hmm,
So never was a drinker, never was a smoker, never hung out and did everything. Not because I couldn't, but because I knew I had an obligation to the young person that was looking at me to show them a different way. And if they decide to go the other way, that was going to be on them. Like I said, coach, in order for you to be a complete individual, I can't just tell you my success stories. I can't just tell you my Jamel McLaurin's and the guys I got playing pro ball. I also coach some of the biggest drug dealers in Chicago,
Mm.
right? Am I happy about that? No, but that's part of being a person that you learn from it. Now, they would ask about old Coach Bates from someone else. They would never come to me because they knew that's what was I about. But I
Yeah.
wasn't going to knock them for it because I try to show them something different. Today, there's only 3% of people that look like me and you that are athletic directors at the college level.
Yeah.
I'm one of those 3%. I don't say that to brag. I say that to say if old Coach Bates can do it, you can do more.
Yeah.
You can be the president of the university. Forget about being just the athletic director and coach. So I'm just a stepping stone for these young people to say, look at me, I look like you can do everything I've done and more, and I'll be so much happier for you to let you know that I was a little piece of your success in life. And that's the only reason why I do this. I don't do it
Mm.
for the money, right? Out of the things that
Hmm.
I do, Governor State probably pays me the least amount of money, but
Hmm.
it's not about that. But I
Yep.
get the most satisfaction because I get opportunity to mentor young people,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that just makes me feel so good about it.
And as the title of the episode tonight is, I mean, that's the secret sauce. Again, and I think everything that you're talking about, and you keep repeating the word mindset, but that's where you started off at. That was the foundation of Tony Bates from the beginning. And so, you're just, again, understanding life through the game of basketball. You're just, sticking by your morals, sticking by your principles, but like that then makes it easy for an athlete to say, okay, I'm gonna run through a wall for coach. I'm gonna give coach everything that I got, because if coach cares about me, I don't really want to disappoint coach. And I think that that's what people misinterpret, a lot. You can look at certain coaches, athletes may not want to play, and kind of, when I go back to saying, sometimes we have to sell ourselves to our players. And then you can get other coaches and they may run through a wall for them. You say, man, well, how? Well, one has probably a better relationship with them as people. And the one thing that I like about you and love about you is you care about the person, not just the athlete. And for parents that's watching, or coaches that's watching, especially athletes that's watching, if they're only talking to you about sports, about basketball, like run far away, because they only care about, because as you said, when that ball starts bouncing, if you get hurt or whatever, now it you're replaceable because of you was only a basketball player. So I, think that that's huge. Um, and so going back to St. Xavier, where we first, met, and as a junior college, we played, 4-year schools, played at junior varsity teams and all of that. What I, like from, about you at that point, one, you were, I think, one of maybe two, that's on the staff and at a school like St. X. But normally we would go play, some JV teams, and they would be horrible. Like, they would be like no extension of the varsity program, kind of like ragtag. But the reason that I loved, and you were kind of my point man. I would, we would kind of call and schedule, the game, but I loved because they were disciplined even on that level. And that was my first introduction to you, and with St. X. And it wasn't just about, okay, the head coach at that particular time welcoming me in. I was kind of getting in contact with you as the greeter. And because I had was building that relationship with you, you were the person that I was, in contact with. But it was a total difference, and just the level of professionalism, and it goes back to, as you said, you don't have to play basketball to be a professional, but it goes back to that level of professionalism that even those JV kids had, and so then when it got to the varsity level, now your expertise again as that assistant, you were able to help, St. Xavier, excuse me, excuse me, in a 14-year period, do some remarkable things, and I think that goes just to your level of expertise, your basketball mind, but also your people skills, and a lot of, we take people skills for granted, but, I just wanted to mention that to you, Tristan. Hold on a second. Tristan, go out there with it. Go out there with the phone. I think that is a testament to you, just of how you always want your players to carry themselves regardless what level they were on. But doing my research, and I was real impressed with this, Coach, because I didn't know this story. But you got brought on at Governor State 2013, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, are you a tennis player, Coach?
Well, Coach, you never cease to amaze me, man. You find out some things that most people can't find out. So that's awesome. Coach, I'm not a good one, but I tried. But I'll tell you the story, Coach. When I was at St. Xavier University, I probably applied for about 7 or 8 jobs in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Was never offered the opportunity to get one. Um, but I stayed persistent with different schools. I
Mm-hmm.
know I had the resume and I knew I had the experience, but I could never get the head coaching job.
Right.
So one day I'm riding with a friend and we passed Governor State, and I said, well, "What's that?" And he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, that's a that's a college." I said, "It's a college." I said, "I never heard of it before." So light went on. Maybe that's what God wants me to be. So
Mm.
this was 5 years before. So,
Mm.
this was 5 years. So I sent in my resume. The lady from HR, you know, called me and said, "Sir, what are you applying for?" I said, I want to be the basketball coach." And she said, "We're a graduate school. Our average age is 37 years old. We don't have sports. You
Mm.
come here to finish up your degree, to get your master's degree, or get your doctor's degree. We don't have sports." I said, "Well, maybe you should." For the next four
Mm.
years, on the same day, December 16th, I sent in my
Mm.
resume. My last, which is in 2013, her last name was Miss Bradshaw, I'll never forget her. She said, "How long we been doing this?" I said, "5 years." She said, "Look, I'm getting ready to retire, and I think you're crazy, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give your information to one of our VPs, and I think you deserve the right to talk to him about your vision."
Yeah.
I said, "Thank you." She gave the VP my information. Gov, he called me. I went up and met with him. I had a 5-year plan of what I would do with Governor State to start a program from day one to 5 years. He asked me how long did it take me to put that together. I said probably about a month. So I'm ready and I want the opportunity. He said, "Do you know anyone here?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "We just had a board meeting 4 months ago and we decided to start sports.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'll get back with you." I
Yeah.
went through the interviewing process and I was offered the job to being the head athletic director and head men's basketball coach. I cried because
Hey,
it was
Coach,
God. Because
and
5 years, man, for 5 years, I was looking for something that wasn't there, and he opened up the doors for me. Now, for all those coaches and all those schools in the conference that said no to me, now they've seen they had to play against me, and we've been very successful against them. So
absolutely.
again, I always learn something, coach. And please, I want the audience to know this. For every time you hear the word no,
Mm.
smile, because yes is on its way.
Mm. Man. Hold on, I gotta write that down. Every time you hear no, smile, because yes
Yes
is
is
on the
on.
way.
Yep.
And you know, the way that I heard the story or read, the story was, you and a friend were looking for some tennis courts, and you know, to your point, you got to ask, and I didn't know it was 5 years, and I didn't know, and the this is how God works because none of this has been scripted, right? Um,
No.
so my son that was just on my lap, Tristan, his birthday is December 16th. So so for 5 years on that day, you sent your resume, and I think that athletes, parents, and coaches, if you want to be a good leader, if you want to be better at whatever it is that you do, especially if we're talking athletics and basketball here, you have to be intentional about the things that you're doing, right? And so you had a vision, you put it out there in the atmosphere, and God gave you what you asked for, but it still took 5 years. And now in between that 5 year span is where myself, Jamil, he was at Truman at that time, is where we kind of crossed paths. So it was still some developing and some cooking in the pot that God had to get you to, but you didn't stop, even though they kept closing the door, and or saying no. But the thing that really, really like wowed me was when you went up there, you know, you had a 16 pages. You said it only took you about a month, but you had a 16-page proposal about how you were going to change this program, develop, build, and change. Because and I'm from the south suburbs, so Governor State, I recall, it was carpet in the gym, coach. It was,
Yep.
that, people would go up there and get, some little small runs, but you put it out in the atmosphere, one, and then you were steady working on your craft, even though you knew that you was ready, but you had a plan. You literally had a plan, and you presented someone with that plan. So, as you said earlier, if coaches call you, well, don't just talk about basketball. Like what's your plan for this student athlete at my school? If that makes sense. Now we can kind of build on that plan. And so when you took this book, 16-page, proposal to them, well, guess what, coach? Now they know that you're serious, because and speaking from experience, when I found out that they was having sports, probably like every young coach or every coach, I actually applied also, but like it makes so much sense, because if I was the hiring personnel, I'm going with the person that can help me out in our vision, if that makes sense. And so,
Yeah.
you have to have a plan when you're attempting to do something or to get something. So many people get into it and then we start reacting, coach. You know what I'm saying? But you were on the front end, you was proactive, and so now when that opportunity came, and I think what I don't want people to miss either, you built a relationship with that lady that was working in that office. What's her name, coach?
Miss Bradshaw.
Miss Bradshaw. So you built a relationship with Miss Bradshaw to where once it was time for her to go, if she didn't think enough about you, she wouldn't have told you she was leaving, and she wouldn't have passed you into the person that you needed to talk to. So I think and I wanted to give that backstory of Governor State, because again, the same way like Jamel and Trinity Christian, it meant a little bit more to you than probably everybody else, including myself, that just wanted to have a 4-year college coaching job. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does make sense. But coach, the thing about it was, you know, and it's just how God works, right? So I'm complaining and I'm upset because I can't get a head coaching job in the CCAC.
Yep.
But see, God says, you know what? You've been steadfast. You followed the teachings. You do it. I'm going to give you more than that.
Yep.
I'm not just going to give you the coaching job.
Yep.
I'm going to put you in the room with the athletic directors.
More than
So
enough.
that's just powerful how that all works. And again, I'm the only one that looks like us that's athletic director in the CCAC. And I've, it's been that way since I've been there. Now, I don't say that. Please don't take that as I dislike anyone.
Yep.
But again, it's to let someone else who looks like us say, if Coach Bates can be an athletic director,
It's
I can
possible.
be an athletic. Because sometimes what we can't see, we can't become.
I love that.
And I would be important.
Yep. And um another thing is you were prepared on the academic side too, right? It goes back to that grade point average. Now, as you're older, right, you still got to have that ticket, as you talked about earlier, to get in the party. So not only were you prepared and had a plan, and from a experience standpoint, you were ready and had enough experience, but academically, not only did you have your bachelor's, but you had a master's. So now you can step into that, job. Now God can say, I'm gonna give you even more than you asked for because you've dealt with, and as you stand on, we talk about principles, the 5 P's. And I think that, people have heard it, but going into, because you probably wouldn't have gotten the AD job if you didn't have the education and your master's, and I mean, we both got the same degree, from North Central University and Prescott. Shout out to them. But can you break down, Coach, your vision and your outlook on those 5 P's?
Yes, I think the 5 P's are so important. And again, I've done this for a long time, coach, and all of my players know what they are. It's proper preparation prevents poor performance. And that has nothing to do with sport. It has to do with an attitude based on here's what I want. I have to be prepared for success. So a lot of people don't prepare for it. They think it just comes. No, it comes through a trial and tribulation that you got to go through to get to the other side. You know, everyone talks about the 6 rings Michael got with the Bulls, but they don't talk about the 7 years it took him to get there. When
Oh,
Detroit
yeah.
was knocking him down, everybody else is doing other things. We see the glory, but sometimes we don't understand the story. And I think that's so important for us to do that. But without me getting my master's degree, I wouldn't have the ticket to
Yeah.
be a college athletic director. Although they might have liked me and said, Tony, it was nice that you try to get up here for 5 years. If I didn't have that, the person that was willing to make that decision couldn't give it to me anyway because I didn't have the ticket to get into the arena. But I had the
Absolutely.
ticket to the arena, and I want all young people and older people never give up on your dream, but understand sometimes your dream might take a little longer than what you anticipated to be, but it's coming because once you give up, now you're done.
Mm.
So this idea of division one or nothing, I challenge parents. Do you have the car that you always wanted? Do you live in a house you've always wanted to live to? Do you have the amount of money in the bank that you always wanted? I would say 80% of people are listening to say no. But does
Hmm.
that stop you from going to work? No.
Mm.
You're striving for something more.
Yeah.
So if an NAIA coach call you, if a D3 coach call you, might not be what you want, but that's going to help you get to where you need to get to. And it's all about you getting a degree and getting out here in society and being successful and understanding we can use our mind.
Mm.
I'm 100 pounds bigger than I was when I played basketball, but I'm still making I'm making money with my mind.
Yeah.
That's what's so important to this.
Yeah.
One day the physical attributes are going to go away. Father Time is undefeated. But if you
Undefeated.
have something in your mind that can never be taken away, and I'm still blessed to be able to be around young people and to be able to teach and motivate based on my experiences. And again, I'm just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
There's going to be what they say in the Bible, right? Much greater than me is coming. I'm
Yeah.
just a stepping stone. And I just want our student athletes to understand that.
Yeah.
And even if you don't come to Governor State, it don't matter. I want what's best for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Like,
you know, that's, another, one of my players, Cartier is on, and Cartier was a globetrotter, and he was, people didn't think he would even play college basketball. And so, but as you said, like once you give up, you're done. But he always knew that it's something more. The same way, Jamil, All-American, and they were on two separate teams, but we both took that trip over to 103rd to just feel that experience. And but coach, as I said earlier, after listening to Coach Bates, if you have a son that plays basketball, because coach is the men's coach, like you would want your son to play for a person like Coach Bates, because that you're putting them in the right hands. And coach, I've been to practices, I've been to games, I've been, to some open gyms, and I appreciate you and your staff, because I always kind of had that ticket at times to get in, when ain't nobody else allowed or come in the office or whatever, and I always, you know, if nothing else, I just want to speak, let y'all know that I'm supporting, and I'm a bag out. But I've never been asked to leave out of a post game meeting, a private coaches meeting, meeting with your players. So I appreciate just the access that you've always given me. Even if other people sometimes try to stop, but you've never said, okay, coach, no, you got to get out. At times I may be the only one in the gym at that time, but I've heard this conversation, and at times, especially the new guys, um and I tell a story. You all were practicing, because colleges can, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but you all took and a summer trip, overseas trip, but certain colleges are allowed to have, based on what they're doing preseason, are kind of allowed to practice. And one day, you all were, working out, and they was dragging, and you put them on the line, and they, or no, they were actually doing a drill, and the energy was just dry, and you stopped, and for about 15 minutes you just talked to them about life, like about energy and the effort, and that one should have if they really want to do something. And basketball is something that y'all all say that y'all want to do. So if you can't put forth the energy and effort here, how are you going to put it forth, put that forth in life? And I was able to pinpoint the new guys, because the old guys, they didn't heard this song and dance, but the new guys, they just want to play. And so, but everything that you do, and this is why, I appreciate you having you on the show, because you exemplify what this book is all about. Just understanding life through the game of basketball, you are always going to relate it back to life. And so it's some people that can't deal with that, because they just want a coach that's going to get them a ball. You have no problem stopping practice, and even during timeouts. Like, I've heard you to where it ain't really about what they doing. It's about what we're doing, what our responsibilities is, what our discipline is, and that's not always with drawing up a play with an X and O. It's about getting to this mind. So I want people to understand, as I pass the next question to you, of why people should really consider and want their student athlete to play for you. Not only, as my, mentor, Coach V over there, but because you care about the entire person not just the one they can shoot. And I think that that's big for the people that's listening. But can you brag on like Governor State? Like, why Governor State? You know, for people that, man, and you know, I don't want to go there or it's way out or whatever. But like, what are some benefits of a student athlete being the right fit for Governor State and then taking you up on that offer to Governor State?
Well, I thank you for answering that question. I believe that, see, when God gives you something, he gives it all to you.
Mm-hmm.
So Governor State was a graduate school program
Mm-hmm.
where you came there and you got your master's, your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, your doctor's degree. We still have those programs. We just went undergrad in 2014.
Mm.
We have 9 sports. We offer scholarships.
Mm.
We're also the least expensive state institution in Illinois.
Mm.
Here's 2 things that we want to make sure parents and students know. Here's 2 things we want for you at Governor State. We want you to graduate with the least amount of debt as possible. There's so many student athletes that have went to school and have $100,000 in student loans they owe.
Yeah.
6 weeks, 6 months after you graduate, here comes that $1,200 or $1,500 student loan bill.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't have a job yet.
Yeah.
So, because we are the least expensive school, we have a $40 million dorm on campus. We're the safest campus institution in Illinois because there's nothing really going on out at University Park other than trying to go to school and play a little sports and the whole 9 yards when it comes to that. We have a student teacher ratio of 12 to 1. You will literally have a professional and personal relationship with your professor.
Mm.
Why is that important? Because the professors are out in the business field or out in the nursing field, and they know the connections that you're going to need to know to be successful.
Mm.
We have 44,000 alums.
Mm.
44,000. We know how that goes, right? You walk into IBM, you're interviewing with someone. What school are you from? Oh, you're from Governor State. I graduated from Governor State.
Yeah.
Immediate connection.
Yeah.
So here's what we have to offer. But here's what I don't want you to do, because I don't want to waste anyone's time.
Yeah.
If you're not interested in getting a degree, if you're not interested in possibly getting a master's degree or leaving there with your doctor's degree, don't call me.
Mm.
Call the next guy and tell him how high you can jump and how many points you can score, and you guys can be on the same page.
Yeah.
Because winning to me is when you get that degree.
Yeah.
That's winning. That's the biggest championship that I can ever give you. We're going to win some championships along the road playing basketball, but the bottom line is, Coach Bailey, getting that degree. Now, I challenge anyone. Go in your rooms, go in your basement. Do me a favor. Get Coach Bailey's book. Put it on the floor. Step on it. Look at the foundation. Now try to step on a basketball. Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
No, because that education is foundation and
Yep.
it's solid. That ball you can't stand on because you're going to fall because it's round and you can't do that. So this is what I ask. If Governor State is not for you, because I can't take everybody, choose a university or a college that cares about you getting a degree. Not how good of a basketball player you are, because I have several All American junior college kids that I can't get into my school.
Mm.
They can play, but I can't get them in.
Mm.
That's the other thing about Governor State. Governor State is not going to subside with their academic levels to have someone come in to play sports.
Yeah.
I don't even ask questions about those different things because once you tell me where you're at academically, I already tell you what you can and cannot do. But
Yeah.
I think we have a lot to give. Here's the other thing, just like my Eagles at Tabernacle Christian, you got to be hungry. If you want to follow some tradition, go to Duke, go to North Carolina, go to Virginia, go to Alabama and play football. But if you want to start something, if you want to be on the first national championship team, Governor State could possibly be the place for you because that's what we're going to be. And you'll be able to tell your kids where you started and where it's at right now. And that's what we have to offer.
Yeah, I love that, coach. And I didn't know that you all, because I governor state that I know is, the graduate school, the law school, the teacher school. I didn't know that it was the cheapest state school. Um,
Yeah.
wow, that's and knowing the type of education that it's known for traditionally, and you think like, okay, man, private school is gonna cost a lot, but it's anything but, I mean, and I think it's real poignant that you said like, if you're not interested in graduating, less known possibly getting a master's or beyond, don't even call. Like, let's not even conversate. And I think, and I talk to players all the time and parents all the time about going from being the hunter to the hunted. You get on all these AAU teams or do all this, and you go to a gym where it's 100,000 coaches in there, and now you're hunting for somebody to talk to you, as opposed to if you have if you are valuable, if you add some value to yourself as a player, but also just as a person, well, now that athlete becomes hunted because again, now if Coach Bass is coming in, and if you knew nothing about, you go to some of these places and they give you, they have you pay all these fees for a book and everything. Well, you know, now you're hunting for a totally different species that everybody else is hunting for, because you already know the first thing got to be these grades. So like, let me look down to the grade point average and or the test score before I even look at how many points they average. And so now, because that student becomes valuable, now they go from being the hunter to the hunted. And I think that that's, exceptional. Plus, you got to be hungry, as you said, because, you all are doing something big. And, even for the people that say, again, man, I'm not going there, man, they not winning. But like, the first year started out as a club team, and, at that point, again, building. But once everything switched and you started bringing in the people that you necessarily wanted and that could help and a good fit, I mean, you guys have been successful since then, and even to the point to where you all have been to the national championship. So I want to ask you that question. um and as the athletic director, you not only look at grades and transcripts for basketball players, but you got to look at them for everybody, And so I'm pretty sure, as the AD and as the leader of leaders, all of the sports at Governor State falls in the same realm as you're saying basketball, because again, you kind of got to sign off on that, LOI, as the athletic director. But you all win, and I actually, posted the picture on the ad, and I was actually at that game. But if you could just talk about for a minute, Coach, um, let me get it. If you could just talk about for a minute this feeling, um, and you can let me know when you see my screen. Can you see it, Coach?
I see. I do.
Yeah. So can you let
I
me
was.
know, man, at this point in this feeling, like, what did that mean to you, man? I mean, because I mean, again, for 5 years, you've been writing these people on December 16th for 5 years. You finally get the job. What did this mean to Tony Bates?
It was just, unbelievable. Words can't describe, because, again, when you're starting something and everyone has a resume that they've already won,
Hmm.
that's sometimes tough to go up against, because
Hmm.
it's nothing like something that's concrete, right? So it's no different from coming up with a new car,
Yeah.
or a new type of gym shoe. I wear Nikes. So for that group to, in our second season,
Mm-hmm.
to win the conference and be able to go down to the national tournament was just unheard of. There's 15 teams in the CCAC, which is the conference we play in. The likes of the Olivets, the Robert Morris, Roosevelt, St. Xavier, Judson. There's 15 schools. There's, coach, at least 12 schools that have never made a tournament in 50 years.
Wow.
So for us, our second year to win the conference and go to the tournament, that's just no credit to me. That's a credit to my coaching staff, Coach V, Coach Ramelli, Coach
Mm-hmm.
Cook, Coach Walter, uh, those, and then bringing in the right student athletes with
Yeah.
that mindset, right?
Yeah.
The mindset of I'm going to start something as opposed to follow something. That set the foundation,
Yeah.
right? So now we're here and now we're doing it. We've not had a losing season since then. We have a winning record, but we're still hungry. The next step is this national championship
Absolutely.
ring that we want to get. We got a conference ring. We want a national championship ring, and that's going to come when we get the right student athletes. We're building towards that now to make that come true. But that was an unbelievable experience because
Mm.
again, my God, you never know when He's going to bless you with things, but be prepared for it. But now I'm hungry for more and I want more. And on top of that, since we've been there, you know, our kids are graduating. So that's even more important because I know one championship every year, coach. I might not get the one on the basketball floor, but I'm going to put my suit on and I'm going to go into go down to Tinley Park Convention Center and
Yeah.
sit there and cry with their mom and dad as they
Yeah.
go across the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. And that feeling lasts just as long, if not longer, than when that horn go off and be able to get showered with water and take those pictures. But just knowing, I mean, again, it goes back sacrifice and appreciation. It goes back to, that's hand in hand. But now, coaches, we, start to close the show. And again, I, definitely thank you for your time and man, all the, the knowledge that you've dropped. Everybody wants to go NCAA, Division One or Division Two. A lot of parents have never even heard about, my conversation. A lot of parents have never even heard about NAI. They think that junior college is just for the dumb. And so, me having to re-educate and change their belief system and or their knowledge about what they know, like that's really the hardest part for me because again, we're talking about NCAA and your athlete may not even be NCAA material, Division 1, 2, or 3. But when I look at NAI and you're a product of NAI is on a whole different level because, as you said, these guys are grown men for the most part. A lot of these guys, just average NAI player is probably a non-traditional student athlete at that point, or they're on kind of their last opportunity, so they're more hungry because it really means something at this point. Can you talk about NAI school, just NAI and, some of the things, we talked about Governor State, but now just NAI, if you could, educate the coaches and the parents as well as the student athletes, because you have some coaches that'll tell their student athlete, oh man, they're NAI school. You don't even want to talk to them, right? Can you educate us on NAI basketball, just the level of competition, as well as some of the academic things, not necessarily Governor State, but that's needed to be even able to be eligible on the NAI level?
Yes, I'll be more than happy to. A lot of people, their perception is Division One gives full scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Division One, they fly first class. Division One gets new gear. Division One gets new gym shoes. They travel in plush charter buses. NAIA does the exact same thing. We give full scholarship. We travel first class. We get new gear every year when it comes to gym shoes. We just signed a new contract with Nike. We're gonna have Nike next year.
All
We
right.
travel well. So all those things we have. The biggest difference between the Division One and an NAIA to me is the size of the player,
Mm,
right? So the Division One point guard might be 6'5". The NAIA point guard is 6'2". The Division One center is 6'11". Our center is 6'8". So they're a little bit more bigger. I'm not saying that they're more skilled, but because they're bigger, that probably does put them in a little different category. But we're equivalent from a competitive standpoint to an NCAA Division Two, which
mm,
also gives scholarships.
mhm,
So that kind of sums it up. Division Three, we don't compete with because they don't give academic scholarships.
mm,
We can give you academic scholarships. We can also give you athletic scholarship, academic and athletic scholarships at NAIA. So NAIA are generally just smaller schools, okay, which range, 7 to maybe 15, 16,000 students. We have over 275 schools around the country, but the NAI gives over $600,000 in athletic aid.
mm.
So people don't know those things, but you need to know them. So when you talk about the D1, we can offer everything a D1 can offer. We also have tutoring systems. We also have community service things that we do at the NAI level. So it's not a knock, but please get your facts straight when you want to shun someone who
Yeah.
can give you the same opportunity that you might not have. Now, parents, I'm gonna go here with you. If high school, if high school was divisions, would it be safe to say that Whitney Young, right, Morgan Park, right, would be Division One schools? Does your kid play for those two schools?
Speak on it,
Probably not.
coach. Speak on it.
So, what level is your kid playing at? Because those are Division One schools per se when it comes to high school, the Simeons of the world.
Hmm.
Okay, so does that mean that your kid shouldn't play ball at all? No, your kid is playing at their local high school, doing a great job, trying to get an opportunity to play at the college level. Do not knock a coach who you might not be familiar with the name, because a lot of times we're not familiar with the name of the schools you kids go to, but we make the coming out and watching your kid play. Now, the other side of that is, and I tell my coaches this all the time, it's not who I came to see, it's who I leave remembering.
Mm,
So if I come to a Simeon game and they're playing against Creek Moni, I might have went there to see the Simeon kid, but that Creek Moni kid plays well, I'm leave remembering him. So now I'm making a connection. So if you want to send your student athlete to a school and you don't want to pay a whole bunch of money, the NAIA can be the place for you. And again, if it's governor state and we sign a letter of intent and a month from school, Michigan State calls, the Fighting Illini calls, I tear up the LOE. They can go because I want what's best for them. But don't look at anything less than Division One as a bust. Because
mhm.
again, based on levels, a lot of your kids don't play Division One high school ball.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think that you spelled that out eloquently and perfect, but also, you have to know. So parents have to know, because it may be some parents like, okay, well, I don't want to sign there because maybe again I'm still waiting. But as you said, and because you know the rules, you know a kid can go up, so to speak, without having any issue. Now that LOI is, we can deal with it. Now you may not be able to go parallel, and even in some instances there are that, but again, if Coach Bates doesn't care about you as the person, and this is what you have to be wary of, even with some college coaches, when you do sign it, it's a legal bonding document. So Coach Bates or any coach, right? And I'm not saying Coach Bates, because there are some coaches, and I know some personally, once you sign it, they feel like they own you. And they hold that year of eligibility, because this game is dirty, right? That's the only word. I mean, it's not all clean cut, it's a lot of, you know, bad people, but with anything, you have the good and you have the bad. So parents have to be educated enough to be able to spot out character, right? So as Coach said, we're gonna tear it up. Duke call you going, but it's some people be like, no, like you sign here, you got to play here. Okay, if you go to Duke, maybe you got to sit out a year now. Let's see if they want you next year, because I'm not going to release you. And so you have to understand all of those things. But if you know who you're dealing with on the front end, that's why I said, if all they're talking about is sports, run as fast as you can. Like run and run away as fast as you can. Coach, you made a point about so not only with the NAI with those rules, but can you speak on an athlete being able to go to the next level from NAI? And I know that you mentioned it earlier. You guys have it's scouts and gyms and all those things. But is it possible to go to the next level from NAI?
Absolutely, absolutely, it's possible. We've had several individuals that have left NAI schools and are playing over in Greece, playing over in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
playing over in London where I played. Like I said, Walter Payton, the great running back for the Bears, played NAI football. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman played NAI basketball. They didn't go to North Carolina like Michael, but they wound up
Yeah.
in the same place as Michael, on the
Right.
same floor with Michael. So it's not. It doesn't mean that if you go to an NAI school that you relinquish your opportunity of going overseas. Is far from the truth. The bottom line is Coach B, my great assistant coach, has 30 guys, probably 12 or 15 guys that played in the NBA, and
Yeah.
over 30 or 40 guys playing overseas, and
Yeah.
have maybe 10 or 12 that playing overseas right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's where you go, back to that job interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the connection. I graduated from Governor State. You came from Governor State. Coach B makes a phone call. You're going to get opportunity. Our games are played live all over the world. General managers are getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning watching us. If you're good enough and you get into the right program, you will get your opportunity to get a check if you're good enough to get the check.
Mm.
And if you're not good enough to get the check, you're gonna get another check. You're gonna be a professional
Yeah.
dentist,
Yeah.
lawyer, business owner. Those are all the other things you got to think about. But please don't go to an NAI school with the attitude that you're doing them a favor, because
Mm-hmm.
we're doing each other a favor. I need a basketball player that wants to do the right thing. You want an opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
And we both can benefit from each other. And I think that's important for everyone to understand. If you're good enough, especially in today's world with all the social media,
Yeah.
you will be seen. But
Yeah.
when that light shines, you just got to be ready to do what you need to do. You got the D League and G League, and
Yeah.
you got the G League now. So there's other avenues and have an opportunity to get this check and make this money. But you got to put in the work for that. But yes, you can't go to the NAI and still wind up playing professional basketball. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Coach, I got 3 more questions for you, man. Um, can you break down like levels of scholarships, because there's so many people, and like parents just want to get that offer so they can post it on Twitter or Facebook, wherever the athlete, yeah, I got offered from this or that. One offer doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna get signed. But when in terms of offering scholarships, can you break it down? Because I think a lot of people get misconstrued on it. And as you said, you all can offer academic and athletic scholarships. But there are some, I can give a player, just a tuition waiver where another coach may be able to give, tuition, books, room, board. Like, can you explain that level? Like parents should, and these are questions parents should ask, and coaches should ask also. They shouldn't just be happy with saying, I'm gonna give you a scholarship, because even especially on the Division II level, they don't really offer full scholarships and whatever. They're piecing that money up among 18, 20 people. So can you break down and just educate briefly like the level of scholarships and based on what's being offered?
Yes. Division One basketball teams can give what they call full scholarship. That's room and board, books, fees, the whole 9 yards. Division Two, just like the NAIA, we have a stack of money. So based on your educational level and your talent level, we can offer you different amounts. So let's say, for instance, Governor State, we're $18,000 including the dorm. Okay. So let's say you're in a situation where you're receiving uh, MAP and Pell, which are federal grants that you don't pay the money back. Well, if you're full MAP and Pell and you get $11,000, there's a $7,000 difference. I can write you a check for the $7,000. You're a full scholarship athlete. We're able to do those different things. So let's say you don't qualify for MAP and Pell because your parents make too much money for that, right? But you're a 3.4 grade point average. I can get you $6,000 or $7,000 on the academic side and still give you $7,000 or $8,000 on the basketball side. So we're able to piece scholarship money at the NAI level and at the D2 level that puts you in a situation where you're paying little or no debt. I think the average amount of debt for our student athletes at GSU on the basketball side, I'm thinking it's about $2,500 for the year. So what's that in 4 years, huh? You know what 7, 8, what? That's about $7,000, $8,000
Yeah,
at the end of their. So what's that, Coach? About an $80 student loan.
that's it.
So
If that.
if that. So it's very inexpensive, but that's how we can patch up money at the NAI level. And parents, please know that it's twofold, right? We talk about the contract. We want your student athletes to come and have a successful career, to graduate. But on the business side, coaches have to win basketball games. So it's nothing personal, it's a business for them. Now, I'm a different type of AD. I'm not like all the other ADs when it comes to certain things. So if, and I always ask my coaches these questions because at Governor State, we have men's and women's basketball, men's and women's golf, men's and women's cross country, and women's volleyball, and men's and women's soccer. So I ask coaches, Coach, soccer coach, you're interviewing for the job. You played 30 games. You're 28-2. The other coach on the women's side is 2-28. Who gets fired? Coach, the one on the women's side. Not necessarily. Because if you're 28-2 and your kids are getting in trouble, they're not going to class, they smoking weed and fire alarms are going off, and they're being disruptive, I'm getting rid of you at 28-2. The team that's 2-28 and their kids are going to class and they're staying out of trouble, I'm going to give him or her a little bit more leeway because although they're not winning on a soccer field, they're winning in the classroom and they're winning as citizens in the university. So that's going to hold a lot more weight with me. So my point is, get yourself a situation where you're paying the least amount of money as possible and getting that degree. The average tuition in our conference, the CCAC, is $45,000.
Mm.
So if I'm trying to go to St. Xavier and the coach offers me a $20,000 scholarship, I still owe 25. So now mom and dad, they look at you and talk about a parent plus loan, which means they're going to do credit checks on you to see what you qualify for. So if you qualify for the difference, now you got a loan, but your kid got a $20,000 scholarship, but you still owe $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, if I'm going to recruit your student, two things: he's going to graduate with the least amount of debt as possible. Parents, please apply for your Pell and your MAP grants. Pell is the federal funds given by the federal government for education. MAP is Illinois grants that are given for education. They're grants, which means you don't pay that money back. So to me, I don't care who pays the bill as long as someone pays it other than me. I'm cool with that. So when
Absolutely.
those say, well, you didn't give me no full scholarship, do you owe anything? There's a full scholarship in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. Maybe I'm not the brightest guy in the room, but take care of the MAP and Pell grants because that's free money for your students. Even if they don't decide to play sports, that's less of a headache on them when it comes to these student loans. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, I love that, Coach. And breaking it down. I don't care who pay the bill. As long as it's not me. As long as it gets paid. So I got two more questions for you, Coach, and it's kind of twofold. One, even during this time, like yes or no, are you still recruiting? Because so many parents like, well, coaches ain't recruiting or whatever. Like at this point in time, are you and the coaches on your staff, are you guys still recruiting each and every day?
Yes, we are. We're still recruiting. Obviously, we're going with a lot of communication on the phone, watching a lot of film on different players that we might be interested in. But yes, we are still recruiting because we hope, and I guess we don't know that this is going to subside and we'll be able to have a season this year. If we don't have a season this year, coach, at Governor State University, if I sign your kid and we don't play, we're still going to honor the scholarship, although
Mm,
he won't be playing this year due to this virus. So yes, we are still recruiting.
I love that. Now, my next question is, um, what's your take on parents or coaches, um, and even athletes sending you highlight tapes?
Coach, I've been in this business for a long time. Um, I hate highlight tapes. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because a highlight tape to me is the resume. Who puts on their resume? I got fired 4 times. I never showed up at work. No, you're gonna make that resume look as pretty as it possibly can. Here's what I want to see. I want the ability to come see your kid. I always ask kids. I often ask kids, Coach, send me your low light tape. Coach,
Mm,
what's that? That's when you turned the ball over, when you shot that air ball, when you weren't listening in a timeout, when you were yelling at the ref, when you pushed that kid down who wasn't saying anything to you. You're not going to send me that because that doesn't exist.
right.
But back to character, right? So it's nice for me to go out and watch a kid score 30. But you know
Mhm.
what? I want to come watch a kid struggle. I want to come out and watch you and you were 1 for 15. Are you playing better defense? Are you still
Mhm.
being a team player? Are you cheering your other teammates on? Because you're not potentially having the success you're used to, but that shows character. Because here's what I know: when you get to my level, you're going to struggle before you succeed.
Mm.
So that's going to show me where you're at from a mental standpoint and also from a physical standpoint. So yeah, I'll watch a highlight tape, but I'm not impressed because it is what it says it is, a highlight tape. So all the great things you did, the 360 windmill dunk you did, but it's not going to show you to get back on defense.
Yeah.
It's not going to show the next play that guy went around you and slam dunked it.
Yeah.
Those things don't on highlight tape. But you know, I guess you got to send something. So yeah, I I want to see a kid struggle, to be honest with you.
Yep. So, again, for, coaches that's listening, it's not just Governor State, but, anybody, any school, coaches, parents, and athletes, game film. We want to see game film. We want to see the highs, the lows, the authenticity of just, average game, and as me and Coach V say all the time, for people that know what they're doing, it don't take long to recognize talent, even if you don't have a good game. But you can just kind of tell in mannerisms. And as you said, Coach, back to the mindset, of, maybe it just wasn't, maybe the ball wasn't falling that night. Maybe it just, but what else did you do to become valuable to not only, the team, but the game of basketball, and if we can't add value, then really, we're useless in whatever stage or whatever ever area that is. Coach, I just, I want to do a little housekeeping again. So let everybody know the show is being brought to you by Bless the Ball Skill Development Academy. And what we do is we help parents of unrecruited and under-recruited student athletes save money on college by finding the right program for them. Like all of this knowledge that you got tonight, you're not going to really hear this from other coaches when they're, coming, scouting, recruiting, or looking at student athletes, even coaches, they're not going to necessarily share this information. That's why I say that this show is much more than just a basketball show. This is a professional and personal development show in which you can learn so much. And, even me, for the people that don't know, and I put my mouth, where it is, Coach, I got, see if I can get in the camera. I got literally 5 pages of notes, man, from just our conversation, because I'm a student of the game, but also I'm just a lifelong student, and I want to develop and get better. So I, admonish whoever is watching, go back and watch this from the beginning, and, take notes and, things that you can pick out that will help you, become a better person, a better leader, in everything that you do. And as I said, the people that I bring on the show exemplify, this, right? Understanding life through the game of basketball. And so just taking basketball principles to be able to then apply them to life. And so that's what this book is about. Things that have helped me in the way that I was taught. And I put it in the book so that people can understand how to make these two things correlate, because they play so much into one another, so much synergy between sports, but especially basketball and life. And then, so this is my first book. This is my baby here. My second one, Coach, I don't even know if you noticed, but my second book is, I think, my best work, because this is talking about what you've been saying. This is talking about the mindset, right? Creating that perfect storm. We know athletes that can have like great games, be in the moment, right? They be in the zone, so to speak. And when they're asked, they be like, I don't really know what it was. I just know that like mentally I was locked in. Well, if student athletes are in the classroom, if they're just in the neighborhoods, especially if they're on the playing field in competition, they have to be able to either manufacture a certain mindset to be able to help them get over that edge, or they have to be able to, have someone that can help them get into that edge. So for those people that can't yet manufacture that, Coach said he was the 5th leading scorer in the country. He was in zones some night, had to be, right? But if he wasn't able to manufacture that, before he could manufacture it on his own, he had to have somebody that was able to teach him how to manufacture it. And that's what this book does, teach you how to manufacture that mindset. And what do I mean by that, right? Being able to visualize things before it happens, putting yourself in that position on the court or in the classroom before it actually happened. Being able to just take other things and be able to use them to your advantage. Because as you know, Coach, so many people think the game is played from the shoulders down. The game is really played from the neck up. And, you have to be able to know that. So, I have both books actually in a bundle with the first 2 seasons of this show, and as always, we bring people on the show that's going to add value to not only the game of basketball, but to your lives that's watching. So you get both books in, the bundle with the first 2 seasons of this show. I, got, the link in there, go ahead and take advantage. As Coach said, that was like so eloquently said, you can stand on these books and have a great foundation, right? But if you go try to stand on a basketball, you're going to twist or break your ankle, if not break something else, right? So get the foundation. And what a great time to get better educated on life and the game of basketball than now. So, go and pick up, the book bundle. There's the link. It'll definitely be in the chat. Coach, before I get you out of here, and as I said, this is straight education, and we is no soap opera deal here. But I do have a segment called the hot seat. And on this, it just, I just throw you a couple questions real fast just to get you thinking. And so my first question to you, which I don't think that, it'll be that difficult for you, but I want to get you thinking a little bit. My first question to you would be, who is the best player that Tony Bates has competed against as a player? And you've been many, many places, but if you could pick one, who would that be?
Well, I was fortunate enough to play at Summer League at Chicago State
Okay.
with MJ, so I guess that sums it up.
Hands down, huh? Hands down. Hands down. Now, best basketball moment as a coach or a player?
The best basketball moment as a player was me signing that professional contract to play over in London, England. It was special for me because my mom, said, "Hey, you're signing this one, but you know what I want, son? I want that degree." And I was fortunate enough to finish school and give her what she needed as well. So that was probably my best basketball moment. As a coach, when you win so many championships over the years, it's just watching these young people go from A to Z, man. It's there's no they're all special to me because they're all achievements. Because then I'm able to tell the student athlete, hey, remember where we came from, nothing to something. Now what's your excuse?
Yeah.
Because they know how I feel about the word excuse. That's for losers.
Yeah.
There is no excuses. They're just excuses are just obstacles to overcome. That's all they are. And you have to be able to do that. So that's probably my the special moment for me as a coach is just to watch them win championships and watch them graduate.
I love it. My final question, Coach, to you on the hot seat is, and I'm gonna pose it this way so you don't get in trouble. I'm not gonna ask you who was the best player, but who's the toughest player that you've ever coached?
The toughest player that I've ever coached. Whoa!
And
put me on.
and when I say tough, I'm not necessarily talking scoring, but I'm talking in terms of so many people think scoring. Oh, I'm tough. I'm thinking mentally tough. Gonna get down on the ground for loose balls, take charges, like that person that you was happy that they was in your foxhole.
Hey, and again, this is not staged. Jamel McLaurin.
Wow.
The best player on the other team, go get him. He was our best defensive player. He was getting elbowed by Jerry G and Triplet and all those guys. He got up, smiled. He was my Dennis Rodman.
Wow.
So over him on the defensive side. Now he could score the basketball, but shut him down.
Yeah.
That's what he was able to do. And he, coach, what I loved about it, he wanted the opportunity.
Wow.
Some people don't want the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So when you go in the locker room, right, after the game, hey, coach, how many points did I have? I know you had 24, right? So I said you had 4. Coach, no, I had way more than that. No, the guy you was guarding had 20, so you had 4 points. So that's how I determined that. But Jamel McLaurin was a dog.
Wow.
He welcomed the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I love that, Coach, man. And it's crazy because I think that this is his first time on the show. And like I said, I mean the show goes nationwide, and we even had somebody from Brazil chime in. So it's going nationally, which means that we're educating and doing the right thing. But I personally don't even know Jamel, don't know how, and I don't know if you have a Facebook account or not. I don't know how, I posted the ad, but again, I don't know how he found himself here, but it definitely, again, is a testament to who you are because he found you and appreciated and wanted to sit and listen to whatever you was talking about, because he didn't know what we were going to talk about, but to, put it in, Coach V say his vote would have to be Tori Oliver, and I'm gonna get Coach V on. Me and Coach V actually did a live Life in Basketball like last March, but I'm gonna get him back on the show now because we can reach so many more people to have him, and I'm gonna give him his own questions that's gonna make him kind of nudge a little bit. But yeah, no, Tori, and I coached Tori in high school. I mean, Tori is was definitely tough. Coach B, before we get out of here, and from the bottom of my heart, man, I want to thank you. I know you and I have been in talks about, doing some things, and, hopefully sooner or later we can, kind of partner up with, just being able to add value collectively to the student athletes, because it's not about me, it's not about you, but it's about what we can do to be able to help. So, hopefully, the stars align up, and, when God is ready to put it in place, and we can do, some great things. But, anytime, man, that you need me to come talk to the guys or, do anything from that standpoint, I'm more than, willing, and, we can talk about it. And, I mean, you understand, things have to be a win-win. And, I mean, that's one of the biggest things. I think that goes back to the mindset. But, I just want to, sincerely thank you for coming on here. I told you, about 60 minutes, it's been about 2.5 hours, it's time for us to get off. But that's just how it happens on this show. And it seems all the time when you get to talking and really educating, and everybody is having fun. And that time goes by quick. And so from a basketball standpoint, that eligibility go back quick. So you can't be messing around with your academics because it'll be over. But in closing, Coach, can you close us out by answering this question? How can we make basketball better?
We can make basketball better by going back to making it more of a team game. It's starting to become a one-on-one show with 8 guys standing around and one guy trying to get around the other guy. Let's get the assist back in. Let's get more defensive cohesiveness when it comes to the game. And I think that's going to be important because it's becoming a one-on-one show. And as a coach and a former player, I just don't think that's team basketball. If you want to play an individual sport, why don't you try boxing, tennis, swimming? Do something else. But basketball should be something that's shared collectively.
I love it, Coach, man. Go back to a team sport. That is huge, man. That's huge. And I don't want that to pass by anybody because, now, we get so many people that, I mean, as you said, it's like me, it's all about me. And they think that that's how you are able to get noticed and get, coaches to take a look at you. And really at times that's a turnoff, or again, now you're hunting, and those coaches that like that, you know, may not be the right fit for you once you get there, but you put yourself in that position to, hey, look at me, I can score. But now when you ain't scoring the ball no more, they like, up, time to go, as opposed to you offering some type of value. And now that right coach, that right program comes to look for you and look at you and want what you have to offer. So, man, I'm six pages deep in notes, coach. I'm gonna go back and read them and watch them, to make me better. I hope that we were able to add value to you, and I hope that you was able to not only enjoy, your time on, but also learn something that, we do, or that, I was able to, put out, or somebody made a comment. It's all about, again, win-win. And, we don't want you to just educate and entertain us, but want to give it back to you. So as I always, well, before I go there again, like sincerely, from me to you, coach, I want to thank you, from the bottom of my heart, man, for, coming on and blessing us with this education, and even, short notice with it, but, to be able to come on and, if we can get more eyes on Governor State, more people to understand the great basketball mind that you have, as well as just the sincerity of a person that you are, because it's way bigger than basketball, and that ball will eventually stop bouncing for all of us. And what are you going to do once that ball stops bouncing? So I appreciate it, coach, from me to you, from the bottom of my heart. And I always say in closing, keep striving for the top, because it is crowded as hell at the bottom. Until next time, we will be in touch. Get in contact with Tony Bates if your student athlete is about education. Oh, before I go, coach, let me put it in here. Give me how people can get in contact with you if they have somebody or know somebody that fits that bill of everything that you talked about. Want to be a student, then an athlete. How can they get in contact with you? Email address, something. I'm gonna drop it in the chat, so even after the show, it'll still be there, and they know how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. They can actually go on the Governor State University website, and my email address is out there, and my phone numbers are out there, so they can contact me that way, and we can see what we can do for them. And if I can't help your kid, I'll make phone calls or make suggestions to help them. Because again, it's not about me. It's not about Governor State. It's about our young people getting opportunities, and that's what I'm all about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my email address is abates99 at govst.edu. But you can also go on the website, and all the numbers stuff are on there.
Got
I
it.
want to just appreciate you for me out today. Coach Bailey, your family, that's why you're allowed to come upstairs after games and come in and do what you need to do. And we always look at you that way. And we will get together once this is all over with, so that you can drop some knowledge on these young people as well.
Hey, I definitely, appreciate it, coach, man. As I said, me to you, and for everything that you've always done, always taught me. And so, I even got my mom on here, and she said great quote. So I guess that I got to repeat it so that we can close it out. But hey, and it's true, right? Keep striving for the top, because like it's crowded. It's really, really crowded at the bottom of that thing. So until next time, we'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Y'all have a great one, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.